I think it's a supernatural entity. I think there's many more creatures that exist in the in-between that are supernatural. I don't think he's an angel or a demon. I would say that Mothman is not from here.
You're listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Childers. Before we get started, if you've had an encounter or an experience or just something unexplained, click on our link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening to the Cryptid Crew Podcast. On this episode of the Cryptid Crew Podcast, I have the pleasure of introducing author and illustrator and creator of Cryptid Empire, David Hardie. David, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it is so good to be here. I cannot wait to talk cryptids with you. The Cryptid Crew, baby. We are going to be talking cryptids this entire time.
Absolutely. That is awesome. I'm glad to have you on the show. And you have, I'm going to say this, you have some awesome artwork.
I appreciate that. It's a labor of love. I love drawing cryptids and put them on T-shirts and sell them all over the country.
Absolutely.
So that's my dream. I get to do that, and I'm happy when I get to do it, and I'm sad when I don't.
Yes, and we'll bring that up a little bit later too, as well, where everybody can find you. But for the ones listening, you need to check that out at cryptidempire.com. He's got some really cool stuff. David, just tell us, if you can, what got you started in the world of cryptids?
Yeah, so from a very young age, I was always intrigued by cryptids. I grew up going to the Monaca Library, so the public library, and I would check out books on Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster. Back in the 80s when I grew up, that's all we had. You know, we didn't have Chupacabra, Dogman, and Sheep Squatch, and even though they had existed, nobody paid attention to them. It was all Sasquatch and Loch Ness Monster. Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster.
Yes.
And I remember taking those books out, and I was always intrigued, and I was always very curious about it, because it's like, how do these creatures exist yet they haven't been able to be, captured or anything like that? And then I love to draw. I love comic books, and I actually went to comic book conventions and sold T-shirts there. So I would draw these T-shirts, and then I'd screen print them. I worked for a screen printing company, so that's how I got into this. And I went to the cons, and here's what I did. I made a joke shirt that had Bigfoot on it. It was a real big, awesome, huge, hairy Bigfoot. Looked like he could fight you, though. He had big biceps and everything. And it said, "I believe." Well, that shirt sold and sold and sold. And everybody kept coming up to me and telling me their Bigfoot story. In fact, I realized that people were not paying me money for my shirt. They were paying me $25 to tell me their story. And then I gave them a commemorative reminder of our interaction, because everybody, and I was blown away, because I don't know that I was a believer prior to that. I was just making a joke and drawing a big furry creature. But I heard thousands of stories. And I would say of those, like, let's say I heard 1,000 stories. I would say of those 1,000, 800 were convincing. Okay. There were some guys who were just being idiots and saying dumb things. You can tell the liars, right? But some of those are like, oh my goodness, I actually think this happened. And that led me into, now I'll tell you what happened. Then I was selling T-shirts, and I made a Mothman T-shirt. One of my friends at the Comic-Con was like, "Dude, you got to make a Mothman T-shirt." I didn't know a whole lot about Mothman. This is, 10 years ago. But I made the coolest Mothman shirt that I could make. And Danny Trejo, Uncle Machete from Spy Kids himself, came up, bought a shirt of his own volition. He was just walking the floor. He loved my shirts and bought a shirt. And I took a picture with him. Well, that picture went mini viral for me. And it put me on the radar of the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Jeff Walmsley is the owner curator. He is the godfather of the Mothman, and he discovered me from that, and asked me if he can sell my shirts. I've been sending him shirts. I sent him so many shirts. It's amazing. It's like tons and tons. And then, since we had so much success with that, he asked me if I would be interested in illustrating and writing a book. And so I did that, and just did my first book, the Appalachian Cryptids and Creatures. It's fully illustrated and drawn by me, or illustrated and written by me. I did all the research, all the stuff, and it sold like hotcakes, to the point where I got signed for my second book. And my second book is going to be the illustrated history of Mothman. It's currently, the rough draft is done. It's with the publisher. And we're going to, there's a whole process to that of editing and everything like that. But that should be out in the spring. And then we're doing the illustrated Mothman tour. So I'm going to be doing a book tour. So all of this, listen, Mark, all of this happened because a little kid went to a library, got interested in Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and then found out that there was this other really cool dude named Mothman, and started drawing pictures of it and telling stories. And now I'm all in, baby. Like I will argue about Bigfoot's metatarsal hinge, like I'm just joking. I won't. I actually never argue, but I'll talk about it all day long.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Is Danny a cryptid fan or a Mothman fan, or is he just really interested in artwork?
Truly, he bought. So I'll tell you what he bought, because I had non-cryptid shirts there too. He bought the Mothman shirt, but he also bought a Chupacabra shirt. So Mothman, Chupacabra, and then he bought a dinosaur shirt that I had. That was pretty sweet. It was just dinosaurs. But he was definitely drawn to the cryptids. In my humble opinion, I would say that he likes cryptids. I'll tell you this. At the last show that I was at, and this was bonkers. And these celebrities seek me out. So I've gotten a little bit of notoriety there, and their agents will come find me. But I was able to connect with, and I have pictures with it, John Rhys Davies, so Gimli himself, and he is into it. And then Shia LaBeouf. Now I know he's been in the news, he's had some hard times, but Shia LaBeouf, he bought a bunch of my stuff. Man, that guy, initially bought a bunch of stuff, and then he came back and bought 6 more shirts. And then it was really cool. So, and we were talking cryptids and everything. That was really, really, really cool. So yeah, the celebrities are into it. I don't know that they have a deep knowledge, but they have a cursory knowledge, and that's important. So like they know, like they say Bigfoot, they're like, oh yeah. It'll be intriguing when you see something they know what Mothman is. I found that if you know what Mothman is, you're really drawn to it. And then Randy Quaid, I forgot to say that. Randy Quaid's from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That dude is into Mothman. We sat down for, it seemed like a long time. And we talked Mothman and aliens like crazy. Like now, he was in Independence Day. He knows a bunch about aliens, but I was surprised how much he knew about Mothman and how intrigued he was about all that. He was asking me tons of questions, So, he knew. He posited up some stuff and threw some things and had some crazy theories, But yeah, these guys are into it.
Right. Yeah, that Mothman is one of my favorite subjects as well, and that's a bucket list to go to Point Pleasant.
You need to.
And
do it right now. As soon as this podcast is over, just get in your car and drive. I'm telling you, it's so awesome. I've been there like 3 or 4 times, probably 4 times now. But give yourself time. Give yourself time. You got to do the whole thing. It's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna check with them and see whoever runs the fest too, and see if they would have a podcast there as well.
They have tons of podcasts.
So yeah, I would love.
There's 31,000 people at the event. I was there last year. I was selling shirts and I spoke, and it was a dream come true. It's the Super Bowl of cryptid events. 31,000 people. That's a lot. So people say they have 30,000 at their event. They don't. They have like 10. This one legitimately had 31,000, and I mean, it was buzzing. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure that town, it's not that big, if I'm not mistaken,
It's
so I'm sure
tiny.
it is absolutely covered up.
Hmm. It's enveloped. I mean, just it's like taken over. It's overrun. Everybody's cool. I'm serious. It was it was a really fun time. Now you have to wait 2 hours to go use a porta john. You know,
Right,
I mean,
right.
there's some practical issues, but I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's one I wanna try to go to, and, I had on Steve Ward, uh,
Oh,
maybe
Steve's awesome.
6 months ago, 9 months ago, something
Hmm.
like that. He is
Steve,
a
I met
wealth.
Steve years ago. He's a scholar. He's a scholar.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, David, if you can, just
Hmm.
for the listeners that may not know much about Mothman, could you just give them a small summary of the topic?
I can. So in the year 1966 to 67, the town of Point Pleasant was invaded by, it started as a Mothman creature. Okay. So there were something like 162 confirmed sightings that people went to the police with, but then potentially, like 500 more different sightings that people didn't go with. But a 6 foot, it depends on who you listen to, a 6 foot to 9 foot tall flying humanoid creature uh, came in and chased a bunch of cars, chased a bunch of people, never hurt anybody that we know of, might have eaten a few dogs, but maybe didn't, but chased four teenagers in a car. That was the beginning of it. And in an area called the TNT area, which is which was a World War II cast off area, had a bunch of igloos, these like TNT igloos and storage units for munitions and whatnot. Real creepy area of Point Pleasant. But though, so it happens. And then, but see, what many people don't understand is after that, there were just an absurd amount of UFO sightings, cattle mutilation, dogs went missing. And actually, in the book and in the account, Bigfoot shows up. So hairy hominids show up. Um, all sorts of strange creatures after this. And this is very intriguing. The movie Men in Black, okay, so the characters, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, these guys are based on characters that came to Point Pleasant. It's called the Men in Black. They showed up and they're no bueno. You do not want to mess with the Men in Black because they are distinctly other. We don't know what they are, but they are terrifying creatures. I don't know that they're humans. And they were there. And then eventually in 1967, December 1967, there was one of the worst tragedies on U.S. soil. The Silver Bridge collapsed, killing 46 people. And that was, in essence, the end of the flap, not because things stopped, but because people, like with such a tragedy, people stopped caring. There were still UFOs and still things, but people were just so numb to it. But it is, the Mothman encounters are the most prolific alien interaction that we have on record. Like, people don't realize that there's more that in this tiny little area during this very specific 13 months, there was more sightings and more encounters than any other time in our history.
Right. And most people in that area and surrounding areas associate the Mothman with the Silver Bridge collapse.
Oh yes, very many. A lot of them blame him. Uh, a lot of them say that he's a harbinger of doom and he didn't create it, but he was saying that was going to happen. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people who just say, "Hey, the bridge was old and it just collapsed," right? Um, there's so many different opinions on it. Then they say the Mothman was the result of an ancient Native American curse from Chief Cornstalk, who was a Shawnee war chief who was betrayed at Fort Randall when they shot him in the back. I mean, the Colonials did. And as legend goes, it's just legend. We don't have any record of it. But that he cursed the land. And quite a bit of people think that the Mothman is the result of Chief Cornstalk's curse. So, I mean, trust me, I wrote a book on this. There are so many theories on Mothman. It's crazy. Like, and everybody you talk to has a different one, or at least, I mean, I could throw you up like 10 if you ask me my opinion. I'll give it, but I'm probably wrong because
well, let me ask you this, David. What do you think it is? You know, if you had one guess.
If I had, I think it's a supernatural entity. My understanding of the taxonomy of supernatural creatures is robust and obtuse. So I think there's many more creatures that exist in the in between that are supernatural, have these powers and abilities than we know. I don't think he's an angel or a demon. I think that he's more of a watcher creature that ended up in this space from elsewhere. So I would say that Mothman is not from here. I think he comes from either another dimension. I don't go with much interstellar. I as you look at some of the odds of interstellar travel, I think it's very, very unlikely that when you look at all of that aliens are from, millions of light years away. And there's all sorts of those issues. I think anything that is coming here is from here or from another dimension that they are able to get through to here. And that's what I think Mothman is. John Keel said the Mothman was an ultra-terrestrial, which is a trickster spirit. So a type of trickster spirit. I can see that. I don't know that John Keel, so he chronicled this entire thing. He wrote the Mothman prophecies. He was the investigator. I think he's probably the most right, but I think he's still wrong. I think that Mothman was something that if he wanted to hurt us, he could have hurt us, but I don't think that he did. I think that he was either chronicling or observing or acting in a way that was, I don't think benevolent, but I don't think he was necessarily nefarious. There are nefarious players in this story. I just don't think it's Mothman.
Right. What's some of the more, I guess, intriguing or kind of off the cuff ideas of the Mothman that you have heard of?
Oh yeah. Well, the one is that Mothman is a creature from under the earth, from deep within these caverns, and it works for the enemy. Okay, so this whole account was given, and I don't know who the enemy is, but they called it the enemy. These creatures were, when they were recounting stuff to John Keel, creatures like the Men in Black and whatnot, they were saying that. So there's one in particular. His name was Mr. Apple, or Apple, depending on how you pronounce it. He said that Mothman was a creature from these underground caves, and there's multiple of them. So there's Mothmen, and they work for the enemy. The reason they can't be here long is they have to come up from these subterranean caverns. They can't breathe in our space, so they're here for a short period of time, and then they need to leave. But they have to drink human blood to survive. And it was posited that the Mothman is where we get our vampire legends. So when Mothmen would appear in spaces and harvest blood, however they did it, that led to all the legends of vampires. Interesting. I don't know. There's a whole lot to back it up, but very interesting. There's great ones. There's ones I love, like that Mothman is actually. This is super cool. That Mothman is an elemental protector, and he's like the Fae. So he's part of the Fae, so fairies, right? And he is an elemental protector that was summoned in a space. So there's a theory that there was an actual alien invasion that happened in Point Pleasant in 1966 and 1967. And Mothman and Bigfoot, in this, I'm telling you, it's crazy. They show up as the Fae are the antibodies of the world. So think like Mother Nature's antibodies. And these aliens are invading, and they're invading West Virginia. and the Fae are, in essence, kicking them out. And there was this shadow Cold War going on in 66 and 67, and Mothman was protecting us. I'm telling you, you can come up. There's so many different theories on it. I mean, there are people who think it's a avian relic bird, right? There are people like Bigfoot is a relic ape. They think it's just like an ancient bird that evolved and all sorts of things. There's one theory that's really unique. That's a government drone. It was all a psyop. There's a lot to that because of the way Mothman flies, because he doesn't use his wings and he flies like a drone. So those are some of the. There's all sorts of other ones. Those are some of the coolest ones.
Yeah, I've heard Steve had mentioned on the episode about how the particular one encounter where he took off without flapping his wings.
All of them. He never
Right.
flaps his wings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I could see where there could be all kinds of variations. You've had, like you were mentioning, the bird type shape. And let me ask you this, David, do you think any of the Chicago sightings relate to the Point Pleasant sightings?
I do. So as I go as a researcher, and I'm a novice researcher, but as I look into this, I would say that all flying hominids, right? So all these what looks like flying men, I think they have a common origin. Okay. I don't know that they're all the same, but they might be. They may be cousins, they may be variations. So, like my theory with Bigfoot, I mean, I think that a Yeti and a Sasquatch and a Yowie are not the same creature, but are of the same substance. So I think that they are offshoots of each other, right? And they have a common ancestry, or they have a common origin. And I would say that of Mothman, I would say that the Chicago Mothman is tied to the Point Pleasant Mothman. Some people lose their minds and go nuts because what you see with all these people is it depends on their narrative. It's what narrative do I want to push? If I want to push that Mothman is a raptor bird evolutionary thing, then I want to get rid of all the supernatural. But on the flip side, if you believe that he's just like almost a ghost, then you want to get rid of all the physical. And I think he's somewhere in the middle. So, but yeah, I think they're tied because you have the Wisconsin Batman or Man Bat, and that thing is very similar to Mothman. There's a few differences, but not a whole lot. But like Mark, look at us right now. We're two very different looking dudes. If aliens were to be like, oh, well, this one's a big bearded, crazy, loud thing, and this guy's a soft-spoken, incredibly intelligent guy, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, well, they can't be the same species. Well, actually, no, we are. We have a common ancestry somewhere down the line, I think that's what we're looking at. I think pretty much any man-sized thing that flies is related in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I think the Owlman is part of this. From Europe, he's from Mumau, London, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think all of those are tied together.
Right. Yeah, that's. I agree with you. I think they're tied together as well somehow, or they're similar. The descriptions are similar. Some of them are a little bit different that I've read online, especially in Chicago area. But there's so many of them. There's tons of.
Right.
Tons.
The Chicago Mothman is different. Like he's like it's like leathery wings. So Mothman was like feathery, for the most part. There some type of fur, feather, weird thing. The Chicago Mothman's leathery, nasty. But it's really interesting. The Chicago Mothman does not instill supernatural fear within people as the Point Pleasant Mothman did. So when the Point Pleasant Mothman showed up, everybody freaked out. And even there were times when people were freaking out with the fear that was like just totally uncontrollable. And Mothman didn't even appear. And some people say he was just present. He was within the area, the vicinity. They think he had some type of like almost infrasound or something like that. That was just making people afraid, like a zone of fear. And it does not appear that the Chicago Mothman has that. Like when people see like, hey, why is that man flying? You know, with the Mothman, it was very different. Just gripping fear for some people that lasted their entire lives.
Right. Yeah, I think some of that has to do with the size of the town and the time, you know,
Yep.
as well. And Chicago being such a large city.
Well, let's be honest. In Chicago, that's like the third weirdest thing they saw all day.
Probably so. I've seen one pretty good video from Chicago, and we're probably talking maybe the same one. I don't know how long ago that has been.
It's been years. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, maybe
Wasn't
a
it like
decade.
2016? Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say a decade. For me, it was 2016 was, I think, and I saw it back in 2016, the video, and then I've seen it again since. But it could be something. You know, you see these things, you're like, that could be real. Could be a ruse, but I don't know how you make that one up.
Yeah. And AI was not a player then.
I don't know how you trust anything you see now.
Oh, it's just so hard. I use that.
I mean, I'm serious. Eventually, you're going to have like Bigfoot's going to walk out in front of somebody's car and it's going to be totally legit. And they're going to get video of it, but nobody will believe it because of AI.
That's 1,000% correct. And it unfortunately, it's made me that way as well, because something 5 to 10 years ago that I would scroll by now, back then I'd have dug into it.
Yep.
And it's just so hard to tell.
I was at the Ohio Bigfoot conference, and I sell t-shirts there and have a great time. I was talking to one guy. I wish I would have got his name. He was so knowledgeable. I mean, I think he was one of the speakers or whatnot. And he said, I guarantee you that you've seen Bigfoot. We've all seen Bigfoot. Everybody. He's like, almost every man, woman, and child had it. He said, but we just don't believe it. We don't believe these videos. But he said, he would argue that many of them, not all of them, obviously there's hoaxes, but he's like, many of them are real. Many of them are legitimate. He was defending the Patterson-Gimlin film like crazy. And he said, anybody who's seen that has seen Bigfoot. But then he said all these other ones, or not all, but he said a majority of them he actually believes. Now, that's an interesting take, you know. But he said it's and they're hard to disprove. He said the problem is you have to disprove the video, right? Like the burden of proof is really, well, what is this thing? Well, we don't know, but how do we explain what this is? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't. Some of them you can tell. There's one. I think it was a train.
Yeah, that
was so you could tell immediately. But there's some that you cannot explain away, and there's natural movement to it, and it looks.
And they move so fast.
Oh yes,
like that one. You know, the one, the very black one. It's very dark, and it's running. Its stride is crazy. Its speed is absurd. There's no way you could, you know what I'm talking about. That one, oh my goodness. You've seen it. It's super popular. And it's like, and you get the chills when you see it because you're like, it moves like a human, but faster and more efficiently. And it's other, man. I'm watching something else.
Yes, that particular one you're talking about I think it happened in Arkansas, I believe. I may be wrong. But it was incredible how fast it moved. Incredible.
Yeah, the amount of area covered. Like, this is not just they sped it up. You know, you can tell that the gait is elongated, right? Like, you can tell this thing is not like some tiny little jittery creature. Like, it's like a 7-foot, 8-foot creature that can move.
Yes, and well built. Yeah.
Yes. Like a linebacker, which is how everybody describes Bigfoot. Almost everybody when they see him, linebacker, like a linebacker, huge shoulders, almost no neck, you know, built.
Right.
Because he could rip you apart.
Yes, no problem. Let me ask you this, David.
Yep.
Going back to the Mothman and Point Pleasant
Mm-hmm.
sightings and encounters, Men in Black, who do you think they are, and
Oh,
how many? There were more than just a couple of those
yeah.
interrogations or whatever you want to call it in that area in the late 60s, correct?
Yep. Yep. There were interrogations prior to Mothman. So like they knew they knew too much about UFOs. That it comes from that. The concept of Men in Black. But I mean, it was like in the 50s. So they were there like a decade prior. I think that my answer. Okay, so my answer is I think the Men in Black phenomena. There are many things. One, there are hoaxers. Okay, so once the phenomena started to occur, there are now people who are being idiots and going out and hoaxing it. So you have human beings who are hoaxing it. You may have governmental operatives who are playing like it's a psyop from that and to discredit it. I think at its core, the Men in Black are they're other. They're not human beings. They may be lizard people. I'm not saying that they are, but some of the encounters seem like it is an entity that is wearing human flesh or something that appears to be ill-fitting human flesh and trying to act like a human. They may not be exactly the reptilian lizard people as we know them. They may also be. Could they be extraterrestrials or ultra terrestrials? Absolutely. Could they be all three of those things? They could. Could there be iterations? But the darker ones, like the strange ones, I look at it and I say, there's something going on here, something very nefarious. So like Mothman never hurt anybody. I cannot say that about the Men in Black. I think many of the disappearances that we have and many of the terrible things, I think that what they say about the survivors who see these things, you only hear from the survivors. You don't hear from the ones who didn't make it. And I think there's a lot that didn't make it with Men in Black. I actually do. I think we hear from the survivors, but I actually think some people think the Men in Black can't kill you. I don't believe that. I think they can. I think they're bad. I think they are the villain in the story, even though some people try to make them the hero. And like, oh, it's the movies, which I liked. I thought the movies were fun as a kid, but they're not. They're not accurate to the original phenomena.
Right. Yeah, I had a gentleman at a Bigfoot festival last year come up to our tent, and he described a story of a friend of his that shot and killed something. And I saw a picture, I'll put it to you that way, that was extraordinarily, I'm not going to say creepy, but maybe disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And the picture was put up temporarily on a social media platform after the incident happened, after the creature was shot. And he had people show up to his house, and it was taken down and off of his phone as well.
So
So
so when I speak at Bigfoot conferences, one of my big questions to the audience is if you had Bigfoot in your sights and you had a gun, you have Bigfoot in your sights, do you pull the trigger? And then let's say you do kill Bigfoot. What do you do right after that? Because you don't call the sheriff. You don't I don't know who you would call that it would be safe. You would have to, but the best answer I heard was from a scientific friend. He was like, he's a scientist, biologist, I think. And he said he would cut the parts of Bigfoot up and ship them to like 12, let's say it's like 12 pieces. And he would ship like an arm, a leg, a foot, to Bigfoot researchers and like all over the place to get it out and say, don't put this out, but here you have it. Now research. And then at some point in time in the future, because I think the second you put it up, you're done. And I guarantee you there have been people who have found Bigfoot and are dead because of it. and Bigfoot didn't kill him.
That very well could be true.
I'm
Very much
telling you.
so.
Yeah.
There's the government, and you've answered that question. I believe they know way more about this kind of stuff than they're letting on.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we're a few weeks away from disclosure potentially. Alien disclosure, right. UAP. I mean, obviously they'll cast doubt on all that and all the different stuff. But I mean, we're very close to that being stated. Although, what's funny is that everybody thinks it's only going to be extraterrestrial, right? There are some people in the Bigfoot community who think that when we get disclosure coupled with the extraterrestrial, we're going to get Bigfoot. They're very hopeful of that, which would be quite an interesting. Could you imagine if they drop if in one day they confirm the existence of aliens and Bigfoot? That will send shockwaves through society, and I don't think they'd be good. That's just my opinion. It's probably not for our best as a species. I think we deserve to know the truth. But the stock market's going to crash, and trust me, people are going to lose their minds.
Yeah.
Like, they will lose their minds over it.
There'll be a lot of people that just won't process that.
Right. Well, they'll still deny it. Well, one, I'll tell you this, it's because of intellectual superiority. Like, they have to feel like they are superior to these weird people who believe in Bigfoot, right? So, but that's always existed. That's all, like... Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we haven't found Bigfoot is because there's such a stigma. If you do anything, if you believe in it, if you do anything, any research or whatever, you are other. But the funny part is now we're just getting together and having festivals, and we don't care what you think. We don't need you.
That's right. We can have fun at that.
We can have fun, and we can create our own economy. You have Bitcoin? Great. I'm going to have Bigfoot coin.
There you go. I might invest in that.
That's it.
Speaking of
I wouldn't invest in that. It's going to tank out.
Probably so. I have done a little research, and there's counties, there's some state regulations, and I found one in Florida. I think it was written in 2022, the Florida Wildlife Conservancy. One sentence that is in a paragraph, I believe it's wild hog limit, and they talk about in the paragraph coyote, seasons, how many you can take. I can't remember exactly. And at the very end of that paragraph, there will be no taking of skunk ape or swamp apes.
No way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
well, I mean, so which state is it? It's illegal to shoot Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Washington, I believe, has a county that it may be the state regulation, but I know there's a county that has it as well.
But then in Texas, it's not illegal. I'm serious. There was one area where it's not illegal, and then it is illegal. Which that makes sense that Texas it'd be legal, and in the Pacific Northwest it would be illegal.
Sure.
But I mean, it's on the books.
Right.
Like, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Now, I've heard people defend that. They say that the reason that exists is so that people don't shoot other people. But I disagree with that. I don't think so at all.
No. Why would you put that in there?
I've heard that logic. Listen, there's going to be crazy skeptics. You could produce a body. You could produce, I don't know, like a family of Bigfoot. They won't believe it. They're just not going to believe it. Like, la 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 la. It doesn't exist. They won't. They can't.
Yep, you're correct. Yeah, it's not in the 2026. I checked it out just recently. It's not in the regulations anymore in that area.
Okay.
Which is interesting, but it was in there prior, and
sure,
there had to be a reason.
So
there's so many sightings in Florida as well. Tons.
Oh, dude, you want to hear this? My sister saw it in Florida. My sister.
Serious?
Okay, now listen. Okay, I'm going to give you the whole encounter. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
My sister is she was at the time, an ER nurse. Okay. My sister is the antithesis of me. She is short. She is tiny. She is completely scientific. Everything is like analytical, deductive reasoning. And she always would explain everything away. during COVID, she was a runner, and during COVID, she was in Florida. I don't know the exact area. I mean, I think it was she lived near Tampa. She went out, and this was very stupid, and she says it was stupid. She went to a very wooded area to jog by herself. Like, she just needed to get out. It was after shift. Things were crazy. She went jogging, and she was deep in the stuff, right? Deep in like this, like kind of Everglade area, like further than she should have gone. And she said that she saw a huge, hairy, man-like thing stand up. And get this one. She calls me freaking out. And trust me, she hates the fact that this happened because she doesn't want to think about it. And she didn't know anything about it. She didn't know the name. Didn't know. She goes, all she could talk about was this big hairy thing that she saw and how bad it smelled. How bad it smelled. Think about that. And she's like, it was so bad. I couldn't get it out of my nostrils. I could, like, and I was like, I actually, like, I was like, she's playing a joke on me. Like, I was like, there's no way. And she swears up and down. She was like crying when she called me. She's like, I saw big, like, and she wouldn't even call it Bigfoot. I don't know what she, like, a big hairy man, big hairy thing, because she doesn't want to give it a name, right? I'm like, well, it's actually a skunk ape because you're in Florida and everything. And she's like, I was so afraid and I got out of there really fast. And she said, I don't think it was going to hurt me, but it stood up. And I'm like, I don't know. She said it was real tall. She couldn't tell me how tall it was, but yeah. And the believability for me is ER nurse who doesn't care about this stuff at all. Right. She will tell you it years later. She's like, I saw something. I don't know what it was, but I saw something,
How long did the encounter last?
Oh, super short. Oh my gosh. Not even 36. She got out. And it was a distance. She said it was still well, that's what she was surprised at. She was pretty far away from this thing and it stunk. Right. So I don't know how far. Like probably 50 yards, like okay. More than that, maybe,
well, that's close.
Like, yeah. But it was like, she was overwhelmed at the smell.
Wow.
Like all she could talk about was how bad it smelled.
That's that's insane. And that was not a thought for her, was it, whatsoever?
Not at all. Not in the slightest bit. It was right now. She didn't have a dog at the time, or she had like a little tiny dog, I think. She went and got a dog to run with. Like after that, I don't think she's ever run by herself ever again after that. Ever. I know.
Wow. Let me ask you this.
She didn't think it was going to eat her, though. She did say that. She was afraid, but she said, I didn't think it was going to eat me. I just needed to get out of there.
Right.
I was like, because I said, did you think it was going to chase you? She's like, no, I just knew. It was like, I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it was all this. She's like, I knew that I needed to get out of that area as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
nuts,
crazy.
Man. I know.
That is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. David, let me ask you this. Speaking of stories, and you travel and go all over to different places, different festivals and Crypticons and so forth. Mm-hmm. What's one story that you have heard over the years that sticks out to you more than anything?
The Martin Groves Dogman story. If you have not heard the Martin Groves, have you heard it? The Martin Groves Dogman story? The Martin Groves Dogman story is harrowing, is terrifying, is so visceral, and what happened. He was a police officer. It happened in the land between the lakes, right after the murder they found the body of that guy. And then the crazy thing is that it's got all these like supernatural elements. Like the one thing that everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people talk about is this metallic sound that they hear in the woods that makes no sense. And it's because a lot of people say that's the portal opening. But it was two dogmen, wasn't it? It was like a dogman, and then there was a Sasquatch involved too. So it was this like crazy scenario. And I don't know the story. Well, I've heard the story. I heard it on a podcast, but then I heard it live from Martin, and I was able to ask questions. Like we were all like surrounding him and talking to him and stuff. It's creepier when you talk to him. Like it's because, and then he tells you things that he can't tell you in a family-friendly podcast. And no, I mean, people joke like, if you can see Bigfoot, if you can see Mothman, I don't want to see either one. Honestly, I don't even want to see either one of them. And nobody would believe me because I make T-shirts, so they'd be like, this guy's lying. But I'll tell you what I definitely don't want to see is Dogman. Like, Dogman is the worst. It's like, no, 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 no. In fact, I was just in Michigan. I drove in from Michigan, okay? And I was on a back road. I didn't see anything, but I was on a back road late at night driving in the middle of freaking nowhere. I was very conscientious and nervous about my surround. I'm in Michigan, right? This is where these things happen. And I was just like, I'll just floor it. I'll get out of there. I'm not going to take a video. I'm not even, because the time that I'd be fumbling around with my phone that's how he's eating me. That's how it goes down. So yeah, Dogman stuff, dude. I want nothing to do with Dogman. Nothing. I mean, Tony Merkel confessionals, I've spoken for him at a festival. So like, he's a good dude. He's one of the best dudes out there, but he goes like searching, him and Joel Thomas. They go searching for Dogman. God bless. God bless. I will never do that. I will never, ever. You couldn't pay me to do it.
Yeah.
I'll draw him all day long from the safety of my living room.
Yeah. I'd have to be prayed up to go chase Dogman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I listen, I'd be prayed up. I'd pray and pray and pray and pray. But sometimes when you do stupid things, the Lord allows you to deal with the ramifications of your actions, so like,
so true.
But, but also there's a supernatural component to Dogman too. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah. The whole thing is nuts, dude. Yeah. That one, it's harrowing. It's like, that's nightmare fuel, right? Like that Martin Groves story. Ugh. Yeah.
It's something else. And for people that's never heard that, go check it out or try to find some documentary on it.
Yeah, he's got a book that there's a bunch of the encounters are all online and stuff. But yeah, it's right. He's like, you want to buy my book? I said, I'll give you money because you were really cool. I don't want your book. I don't want it. I don't want to think about it.
Right. David, if you can, tell the listeners a little bit about your book, Appalachian Cryptids and Creatures, and where they can find it.
Here it is. Appalachian Cryptids and Creatures. Well, number one, you can find it on Amazon. You can go to Amazon, you can buy it, and it's easy, and it'll go all over the world. So if you're listening to this from Antarctica, maybe not Antarctica, but anywhere else, you can get this book. Okay, so this is on Amazon. But I will tell you that I make pretty much no money off of that when you buy it off Amazon. The easiest place other than Amazon is cryptidempire.com. And that one's awesome. I will sign it for you. I will send it out. It all goes for me. I've got some awesome T-shirts. I've got some really sweet cryptid shirts. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I'm the best, but I'm in the top 5 of cryptid T-shirt making people out there. So we got some great shirts, got stickers, and then the second book you're gonna hear about. I'm gonna have it all over the place. But I'm on the socials, so I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Come find me, follow my journey. Listen to this. I'll leave you with this one. I am working on a young adult illustrated novel series that is going to be called Cryptid Empire. And it's going to be really, really cool. Once I get the second book done, I want to start into that. Like, I'm super stoked to get into that. I've got lots of ideas. And if you like cryptids and you like fantasy and you like big, awesome drawings of those cryptids, comic book level stuff, you're going to like these. So that's my next venture.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really, really neat. And for people that have not seen your work, they need to check it out. It is absolutely amazing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull up one of your T-shirts here and see if I can do this correctly and let everybody notice this shirt's awesome. Here we go.
There it is, the Neon Mothman T-shirt. Oh, yes, my goodness.
I'm going to play that one more time.
Huge seller.
Here we go.
That's my most recent Mothman shirt, and it goes well. I sold out of it in 30 minutes of Mothman. I had 300 of them gone.
Yeah. Amazing work. Really is.
Thank you. It's a labor of love.
Yes. David, at the end of each episode, we do a
Mhm.
rapid fire Q&A.
Got it.
I'll ask you 3 questions, and it's the
Mhm.
first thing you can think of. You
Go.
ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Number 1, what is a movie you would watch every day?
Braveheart.
Braveheart, okay. And
Every
that
day.
is that Bruce Willis? No.
That's Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. That's right.
1995, won Best Picture. Braveheart.
Okay, that's right. You're correct. Number 2, if you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
Living or dead? Is
Yes.
living or dead? Which one? My grandfather. I never got to meet him,
Oh,
and I'm named after him. My grandfather.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Really neat. Number 3, coolest place you've ever been.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I'm telling you. Now, it's very subjective because like this is my little cryptid empire, and I've got thousands of T-shirts down there. I walk into the Mothman Museum the first time, and they're like, "David Hardie's here! Oh my gosh!" So like it's subjective, but like yeah, Point Pleasant. I mean, the most memories. I mean, it's like they're burned in my brain. And when you say coolest, I mean for me, that's the coolest. So
Yes, that's a
I'm
bucket list
telling
for
you,
me.
Mothman Museum. It's unique, but yeah, coolest place.
Yeah, we're going to try to get up there this year, I hope. So
You got to do it. Like it doesn't have to be this year, but like figure out a way to do it. You're good. You will love it. But I'm telling you, please take a whole day.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to ask you one more. Usually do 3. Fourth question: favorite cryptid TV show, past or present? Paranormal, Bigfoot, any of that?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Cryptid. So like I would be. Like vampire stuff counts. Does that count for cryptid stuff or no?
Sure,
it's got to be only cryptid. So like I'm going old school 80s anime Vampire Hunter D. So that got me into like a lot of vampire stuff that has vampires, werewolves, and all of that different stuff. Vampire Hunter D got me started into this. In like my teenage years, I was into Vampire Hunter D. So and they have tons of cryptids. There was a one that it was almost like Bigfoot, and it's in Vampire Hunter D. So it's an anime from way back from the 80s when anime was cool. Sorry.
Did you watch any Monster Quest or Monsters and Mysteries in the early 2000s?
I haven't watched. I honestly, I'm not super into those. I don't have a problem with them, but I'm not. Yeah, they're not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? I kind of miss, and I like the like like Finding Bigfoot. The reality is with Finding Bigfoot, there's nothing wrong with it. It's cool, but if they found Bigfoot, we would know about it, right? Like spoiler alert, they don't find him. You know, so I watched a bunch of clips over the years and different things, but I don't know that I haven't sat down to watch it. Sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah, just wondering because some of them, like Monster Quest, and I think Monsters and Mysteries as well, they had several different cryptids on the lifespan of the show, from chupacabras to Wendigo to Bigfoot, of course. And
from my understanding, that's what's made a lot of these cryptids popular again. Is those shows and probably that specific show.
Yeah. Well, David, I really appreciate you coming on the show, taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming on here and chatting about cryptids.
It was awesome. Cool.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate it. It was a great time. Let me know if you ever want to do it again. But yeah, it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I will put a link in the description as well for your website and some of your socials, so people can find your stuff and check out and see what's going on with you.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming on. And for the listeners, if you've had an encounter or something strange, click on our link tree in the description and share your encounter. Thank you for listening, and God bless.